Mirror Mirror is an augmented reality application designed for special education teachers, occupational and speech therapists to measure comprehension, imitation, and sequencing skills for children on the autism spectrum and other communication disorders. The goals of this application are to encourage children on the spectrum to communicate an understanding of a particular subject, and to help therapists effectively engage and document a child's progress for a stronger and tailored IEP. The prototype version will be available on Android phones and tablets. App runs on Unity Engine utilizing Vuforia AR technology. As a prototype, this app will target an exercise revolving around a science subject, in this case habitats, the Arctic habitat in this particular prototype, that is considered standard for a child in second grade. An Android phone or tablet will use a camera to display the child, creating a mirror effect. The tablet will display an image of a forest or Arctic habitat again in this particular scenario. The child will pick from a deck of cards, each with an image and text displaying an image or subject that may or may not relate to the habitat on the screen. By holding a card in front of the tablet and using ARKit, the device will be able to recognize if the child is holding a card that relates to a forest or Arctic setting, as well as an irrelevant image. Feedback will be given through both auditory and visual means, and adding a point to the score every time the child can provide the mirror with a correct card. The special educator or therapist will be able to use that score for documentation and implementation for the child's IEP. From concept to final prototype, Mirror Mirror was developed in a series of weekly Scrum meetings. As project lead, I pitched the initial concept to the team and helped to organize and delegate my team members to find the most efficient ways to complete the various sprints and milestones that the task provided. Milestone 1 centered on pulling resources and understanding how Vuforia works to get it going. We started with trying to get it built on an Android device. We started collecting photos and materials for a deck of cards. And once we actually had Vuforia working with like tutorials and whatnot, we decided to try to have it recognize a couple photos, which is kind of the baseline for how Mirror Mirror works in the first place. Milestone 2 centered around us trying to build a basic user interface, start developing some scripts, starting with like a point script that gave players a point when Vuforia recognized a correct photo, and then we started assembling a deck of cards. Milestone 3 was trying to create the prototype in a playable state but without the back-end functionality, so no results screen or any sort of like data collecting scripts that go between the different scenes. The final milestone was to create back-end functionality, which records and displays data, and we hope to take this idea of back-end functionality even further in the future and develop a profile that will recognize the player's past experiences with the program and use it to develop even more fleshed out IEP plans for the future.
Hi, I'm Owen Ayers, one of the many developers working on Mirror Mirror. One of my earliest tasks was designing the user interface as well as the cards that you use in the project. I set up a user interface for everything from tracking score to telling the player whether they are correct or incorrect. I designed the cards with my team and then printed them out and made sure that they worked with our prototype that we made.
I'm Adam Bennett, and I was a developer and a designer for the Mirror Mirror prototype. My contributions included setting up the initial program and getting Vuforia to work in Unity and get it to start recognizing cards. I also built the basic functionality for the results screen, including the pie chart and getting the dynamic color switching for incorrect and correct answers. I worked with Yarna and Owen to get that working throughout the entire application. I also worked with Yarna to design and implement the user interface.
I am Yarna Senesal, and I am a developer on the Mirror Mirror project. I worked on gathering images that represented the various habitats that we were working with. I then consulted with my team to narrow down to the ones that we chose. I then designed the front and back faces of the cards, which I then handed off to Owen, who printed them out and constructed them into the deck of cards that we have now. I also worked on the mirror frame, the logo, and some various user interface designs. And as for coding, I coded with the user interface, making sure that every button gets you to the right place, and that it visually represents that action.
My name is Max Cannon, and I was part of the Mirror Mirror development team. My contributions range from collecting usable photos early on in the project and scripting our points tracking for scene and question management, to testing and tweaking the flow of the application by adjusting time between questions and events that will move the user to the following question. Much of my time was spent creating the question events that could be easily updated based on the excellent work Adam did getting Vuforia implemented into the project, and I also took responsibility for documenting our meetings and development process and editing together this video.